Alright, so this is a newly acquired WF&J Barnes foot-powered mortiser. And when I got this, it was completely seized up. I could stand on this bar here, and I mean, I could stand on it and I could bounce, and nothing was moving. So I've already gotten some of the pieces taken apart here. I've taken out the assemblies for holding the workpiece down. That's what all these pieces were. I got all those out. These weren't too bad. It was pretty much, I just used some 3-in-1 oil and then cleaned off the back end here. I didn't completely clean it off, but I got it enough that with a little bit of oil and a dead blow mallet, I was able to get those out. So I just haven't put those back in yet. I have had pretty much this whole assembly here apart, with the exception of this chisel I haven't gotten out yet. But I was able to, with some effort and a bunch of oil, manage to get the slides freed up, so now that moves like it was supposed to. And I also had to get a little bit of oil on that shaft that goes through that, which is kind of what keeps it where it's supposed to be. So that was also something I had to free up, but none of that was really all that bad. And I've had the table off, and this piece of wood I've already taken the screws out of, but that's something that'll probably get replaced in the future because this board is pretty aged. So what I've got now is I'm going to try and get out that pin that's holding that knob in place. This knob is pretty much there just so you can use this as a lock to change, so you can cut both ends of the mortise with the straight side of the chisel. I've managed to get that freed up nice. It still sticks a little bit, but I haven't really cleaned it up yet. So what I'm going to do is take this assembly out, so you knock this pin through, and then this can come off, which allows this center shaft to fall through, which is what the chisel is in. And once I do that, I'm going to spray the chisel with a little bit of penetrating oil to see if I can get that to loosen up, since I haven't been able to get that out yet, and that's the next thing that I'd like to get taken apart. So that's what I'm going to do. In case you're curious, yes, I have had this apart already. Alright, so with that top assembly taken out, what I'm going to do is put a board here so I don't screw things up too badly. Oh, this little washer here comes off, and that's what that little ball end lever rides in. So now I'm just going to tap this out. Still a little bit tight because I haven't finished cleaning up the top yet, but there. So you can see that it's just a straight shaft, and then in the bottom is where you put that chisel, but this one is pretty well stuck in there. So first thing I'm going to try is some penetrating oil. See if I can get that cleaned up. Get that out of there. There, so I'll leave that sit like that and see what I can get. So I sprayed it overnight, let it sit all night, came back in the morning on my way to work, or I should say before I went on my way to work, I shot it again just to try and get a little bit more on it while it sat when I was at work. So I'm just taking my wrench and I'm putting it down here because I don't want to smack this collar with the hammer. And we'll see if I can do this in a way such that I can catch it. Ha! Got it. So obviously that's wet. Managed to get some of that penetrating oil in there. Hence the name, I suppose. Okay, so it looks like it has a little bit of a taper to it. So that'll make making some new ones a little bit more challenging for somebody like me who doesn't have a metal lathe. Well, I think that's probably the most difficult of my pieces to get apart, I think, because I feel like everything else is just bolts and that shouldn't be too hard to take apart. I haven't really run into too many problems with most of the bolts so far, so I think that'll go fairly quickly once I get around to taking all those pieces apart. I'm just really happy to get this chisel out because that was kind of the last thing I needed to do, in my mind anyway. Now that's interesting. Didn't notice that before. Alright, so this may be a little bit unorthodox, but I have a square nut and all I have are 12-point sockets, and I really don't want to do that to a square nut because I don't want a round one. So I ran all over. I went to Napa, O'Reilly's, Menards, Home Depot, Sears. I couldn't find 8-point sockets anywhere in a store. I could find them online, but unfortunately that doesn't help me now. What I did, however, find was a 3/4 inch drive extension. So a little bit unorthodox, but basically it's a snug fit because of rust, but it fits on there. And so if I use that extension and then a crescent wrench on it, that's how I got the last one off. So a little bit unorthodox, sure, but worked great. As long as your square bolt is, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/8 inch, or 1/4 inch, anything you can get an extension for. Good enough for me.